That was definitely a season. What is up? Welcome back to the Phoenix Mercury podcast. We are live from Studio K, presented by our good friends over at Circle K. Welcome back to the pod. I want to call it a postseason edition, but postseason feels like all too recent to be calling it. But season recap. Welcome back to the PHNX Mercury podcast. I'm your host, Eric Lee Day, joined by PG1, QB1, on and off the field. We might have established actually that he might be QB2 because AT during playoffs, it could be a little messy there, but nonetheless, QB1, PG1, on and off the field, in and out of the studio, in and out of the finals, because we're out now. Stephen Pridgeon Garner, how the heck are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm not going to sit here in front. I was expecting for basketball to still be being played at this present moment, but it doesn't take away from the season that the Mercury did establish in this first season in this iteration. So doing all right. A lot of reflecting going on, but it is what it is. Got to get back to the drawing board. How you doing?
I can't complain, to be honest. We're almost 2 weeks removed from the finals now, and I thought I would be sadder for longer, but to be honest, every time someone asks me about the Mercury, people that I work with in real life or whatever, I just feel nothing but celebratory vibes about the season that was had. And honestly, if you watch this show, you ought to have high expectations for this team, season after season, period, point blank. But at the end of the day, no one expected the Mercury to be where they finished. And a couple different bounces of the basketball, and we are still sitting here talking about basketball at this present moment. So I can't feel defeated because at the same time, they weren't supposed to be here, according to the analysts that allegedly know a whole lot of things. Mm-hmm. So I feel nothing but gratitude. I feel, for lack of a better term, kind of at peace with where the season ended. And, I've watched, for the first couple days, I couldn't watch too much Aces related content, to be honest. I was a little butthurt, but now that it's kind of died down on our end in terms of getting fried for getting swept, I can confidently and happily look at it. And the reality is the Mercury ran into a dynasty, period, point blank, a very, very good team that knows how to win in those types of moments. And I don't think that they should feel bad about their performance in the finals.
Yeah, I still firmly feel that the Aces definitely won pockets. They outright won game 2, but they won the important moments of the series as a whole. And that's not something that other teams did against the Mercury pretty much all season long, but more importantly on the playoff stage. And you talk about the moments. Minnesota won the moment in game 1. The Mercury won the moment and the rest of the games, the rest of the series. New York won the moment in game 1 and overtime eventually as well, but that was quite literally it for them. And the Mercury won the moments the rest of the way. And this is not to undermine the Aces in any capacity because they went out and did what they did. They have the best player in the world. They have a player that's quite literally where we're watching a GOAT ascension in real time the last 4 to 5 seasons at this point. And she did what she did as that it girl, that it woman. But I think even with everything that Asia did, everything that Jewel brought to the table, everything that Dana brought to the table, everything Jackie brought to the table, Becky and company, Chelsea, what they did was great, but I feel like the Mercury just didn't do what they usually do in the timely moments. Some of that is a credit to the Aces, but I think some of it is also the Mercury not executing to the levels that they showed to be as far as being the best execution team on the playoff stage up until the third quarter of game 1 of the finals.
You're for sure correct. I think there's definitely a lot of responsibility that falls on the Mercury, and I feel like if you ask the Mercury that, they would definitely say the same thing. I think that there is a off season of meaningful change ahead for the Mercury due to the ways in which they lost in the finals. But I don't think that anyone in the Phoenix Mercury franchise or organization should feel down on themselves for getting to the point that they got to, because frankly, going through the reigning champions in round one and then the number one team in the league. And I mean, it was not disputable for 85% of the season. I think New York was on, because I think they started on like a 12-game win streak or some crazy thing. But then after that, it was all Lynx all the time. So
even without Nafisa Collins.
Right. It didn't matter with fee, without fee. It did not matter who was playing for the Lynx. They were getting the jobs done. So I think it was a great first 2-round performance from the Phoenix Mercury and left a lot to be desired for in that finals. I want to do a few things. I want to do the one-word burn. I want to get that off rip. And then I want to talk about the playoffs. And then I want to kind of go player by player and coach and give a grade for the season that they had. Sound like a plan?
Yep.
All right. One word burn. And I'm already mad because Kevin has become our loyal Mercury producer. He's been the only guy we could count on for these last 2 seasons. You would agree, right?
Yep.
And that's no tear shade to the other producers. Love you, Shane. Thank you for being my friend during a really rough time for me during the finals. But, you know, Kevin has been loyal to us. And yet he thinks he can just get away with not having a one-word burn for himself. So now he has to talk through it because since he didn't put it on the graphic because he's fake, I guess, I'm going to make him talk. So actually, Kevin, before you put the one-word burn graphic on the screen, what is your word for the 2025 Phoenix Mercury season? Put him on the spot here, and he's going to have some words for me a post-show about this, you know?
No, I'm good. I would say... That's multiple words, Kevin. I'll just say inspiring, but not in the sense of like, you know, Hallmark movie inspiring. I think it inspired the idea that building a team like this around Alyssa Thomas works. It inspired faith in me that Nick Urin is the proper GM to lead this franchise to where they want to be. It, I guess, maybe affirmed. Maybe validated is the right word I'm looking for. It validated my faith in Nick Uren. It validated my faith in Nate Tibbetts. It validated everything we thought about Alyssa Thomas, Satou Sabally, Kahleah Copper, you know, Sammy Whitcomb, everybody on the roster. I think it was a very validating season. You just didn't get that ultimate validation of winning the whole thing. But I think there's a lot of proof of concept is the multiple word thing I was looking for there. There's lots of proof of concept to go forward, and there's a blueprint laid out. So I think ultimately you wanted that finals ring. Everybody does. Every team starts the season with that dream. But you were one of the last 2 teams fighting for it. And I think that when you were not picked to even make half as far as you made it, there's a lot of positives to take away when you really look at it from the big picture. So, yeah, validating is my word.
Good word, Kevin, especially for being put on the spot last minute.
And the X Factor. They validated that they're the best crowd in the league. So, yeah, that's my word.
Also true. That's very true. I'll give him a little bit of slack here because he has the purple slam shirt on with the big 3. That shirt is
Did you hear where he got it?
Huh?
Did you hear where he got it?
Mm-mm.
Our boy Damon, supposedly, allegedly, a loyal member of Merc Nation, was out thrifting for Merc gear the other day.
Okay.
Apparently, he came across, and listen, if you follow the players on Twitter, you might know this. If you don't, this can be news to you, and go hunting at your local Goodwill. Kalani Brown tweeted out, I'm dropping my stuff off at the Goodwill if you see it. And then Damon tells me today, I saw in just a massive rack, and like, this is no tear shade, but a lot of XLs, team issue looking things. And Damon's out here shopping for our guy Kevin. I'm not gonna lie, FOMO doesn't really even begin. I don't live in this city. I need Damon to do my dirty work for me. That's not fair. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm just feeling a little FOMO, left out of the fun. Because
I hear that.
Why is Kevin getting cool thrifted Merc shirts and I live in Tucson? It's just not very fair. Kevin's put it on the screen for us because he's that guy. But yeah, it's obviously the coolest Merc shirt. So
yeah, that shirt is hard.
And the purple version is really the best. I think the gray is cool too, but the purple is that guy.
The purple is it for sure.
All right. Well, Steven and I also have some one words. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go. My one word burn. I was actually contemplating the one that Kevin ultimately used as far as validating.
Wow.
But foundational is the word that I decided to go with ultimately, because I think you can loop in them kind of putting people on notice and doing all of these things while also it simply being, and I mean simply in the most endearing way, it's only their foundation laying season. So Kevin used a phrase that I often use with talking with Nick and Nate at their exit interviews, and that's the proof of concept part. In your foundational season, if you come away with the depths of proof of concept and roster construction and style of play and the things that you simply can't ignore if you have the top end pieces that you have to be successful and sustain that, they came away with so much information, not even just on a regular season stage, but on a playoff stage against if it's not including them, the 3 best teams in the league. They got all of this information to reassess, go back and watch, dig into the weeds with, look at the analytics that public people just don't have access to. They have so much information they can pull from it. There's simply no way they don't come back from what was the 2025 season for the Mercury and might not necessarily be better in terms of record. They might be the exact same record-wise. They might end up finishing in the same spot for playoffs, but as we saw this season, it's about what are you doing when you get to the playoff stage. And if they learn enough from the 40-some-odd games or 50-some-odd games that they played this season, including playoffs, apply those lessons with the numbers that they find and make everything align even better than it did this season, that's the team that wins the championship, like flat out. They were literally about 5 or 6 minute pockets away from going to game 5. And at that point, if you win those games that you're supposed to, it shifts the entire flow of the series. So it's a lot of ifs, and I don't want to be hypothetical, but the fact of the matter is this series was played a lot more closely than a sweep entails. Withstanding game 2, because that one indeed was aces through and through. Game 1, last second shot. Game 3 was what it was. Game 4 was what it was. Like, these things are inignorable if you're telling the full story of it all. So a very strong, very high-end foundational season was established by this franchise.
I would agree with you.
Oh, sorry. Last piece of it. Foundational also because it comes immediately after no DT, no BG for the first time in 20 years with Diana.
They were your pillars.
Literally the pillars. The most synonymous faces with the franchise. And this is your first time without them. And what do you have to show for it? Correct steps being taken in roster construct while also finishing your season in the finals. If you told any team that you get swept in the finals, but you lose your 2 franchise pillars, and that's the first thing you do after losing them, every team in the W takes that 10 times out of 10.
Every fan base in the W.
10 times out of 10. 100%.
I think great word. I think a fantastic explanation. My word is exhilarating because top to bottom it was. I think there are only 2 games all season, obviously separate from the playoffs, that I think of when I think of painful watches of the Phoenix Mercury. Number 1 is the early loss to Seattle. I think it was game... Yeah, it was like
in Seattle,
12 games in
without AT.
No, it was here actually,
okay.
And I think it was without AT. Actually, they lost by 12, but it felt like 35. And then their big loss to Minnesota. But outside of those 2 losses, they did not have losses that made me think, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. And last year, there were so many losses that I was like, okay, maybe the sky is in fact falling. Like, love that team down. Through and through, but maybe the sky is falling. And this team never led me astray, but kept things exciting. They won games in exciting ways. You never knew who was going. Last year, if the Mercury were playing down to the wire against New York or against Minnesota or even Seattle for that matter, you almost knew 9 times out of 10 that Kahleah Copper is going to take the closing shot. Like, it's almost a given. Who else would you even have had to take it? Maybe Diana, but... she'd already passed the reins. This year, it could have been Sammy, Satou, Kahleah. Hell, in multiple moments, like, he tried to get AT to make a buzzer beater situation. Like, there are so many moments where I could go back to and just say, oh my God, what a game that was. And it was just top to bottom, from the coaching staff all the way down to the last player on the bench. It was an exciting team. They loved each other, and you could tell on the court and how they played for each other. And I think that showed in every game, showed through the playoffs, all the way to the finals when they're playing without Satou in game 4. Like, you can tell how bad this team cares for one another. And so, yeah, it was an exhilarating ride. It was exciting, top to bottom. I would say 10 out of 10, no notes, but 9 out of 10 because we got to leave room for improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I guess I'd give it a 9.5 then, honestly, just because I felt like they could have made the finals, but the fashion in which they did, I was hoping they got a better route to not necessarily assist them, but for them to not have to work as laborious as they did to get to it. But the fact that they had the route they did and they still did what they did to those two teams en route to a finals appearance, another one. Yeah, I give them a 9. I give them probably like a 9.2, 9.3, because there's definitely room for improvement to your point. But to finish on the final stage in an unprecedented first season for a Big Three construct with a bunch of players that haven't played in the league before, yet alone actually made the playoffs, yet alone actually made the finals, like that's a lot of internal adversity that they had to work through, and they clearly did it and figured out a formula for success.
And we're going to talk about Nate Tibbetts in a little bit, but Nate Tibbetts had only coached, 2 games in the playoffs up until this season?
Yep. And both were on the road.
Right. Against, again, the Minnesota Lynx. Like, this is a no-joke team, always has been a no-joke team. What is it they've been saying, sore for 4? Like, they are on a mission. And so those were the only 2 games he's ever coached in the playoffs. One of them was Diana Taurasi's last game in the WNBA. So a level of emotions there had to be through the roof. And then on top of it, now you're 9 new players in your system. Like, it is just the amount of adversity that this team went through to be in the position that they were in, I think is incredibly impressive. And I think to your point, like all these new pieces, all this new coaching staff who maybe, yes, has spent a year together, they've never been in these types of moments together because, I mean, let's face it, like they weren't going to get through the Minnesota Lynx last year, period. So to put them in a position where they could potentially win these games and then they pull them off in the fashion in which they did is an impressive feat.
It is. And that's why I just don't want the season to get lost because of how it ended. And even with the way that it ended from some all-time great finals production appearances from Aces players. Jewel Lloyd in the first game. Dana Evans off the bench in the first game. Jewel Lloyd had another moment in game 3. Asia Wilson had the moment of all moments. Like, these are all-time great moments that we're talking about that a team had to get to 4 before the Phoenix Mercury did. So I don't want the finish to the season to undermine and trump everything that preceded it because that's just not telling the full story, especially when you look at who it was that they beat en route to another finals appearance for this franchise. So, yeah, I think exhilarating was a great word. It was definitely a roller coaster ride, but one that was a whole lot more fun than it was like scary or anything in that capacity.
It was like a water ride that didn't get you like ridiculously wet, but you know, it was like a fun amount of wet, you know?
For sure. And I think like another word that I used in the playoffs, so I didn't want to use it here, was resilient because there was a lot of adversity.
They could have given up so many times.
They could have given up. They could have broken apart. They had the Satou situation that happens right after the All-Star break or right before the All-Star break in the middle of the season where they simply just have her step away for one day, meet the team back home after the conclusion of the road trip, which they won that game in Chicago, and then they just get right back on the beaten path that they were working towards, which is ultimately what we saw at the end of it was a finals appearance. Teams are simply going to either wither and break and go their separate ways, or they're going to come closer together at those type of moments. And it's clear what they did because she bought into the role. She figured out the things that she wasn't doing. She was receptive to being coached hard, as she mentioned to me earlier in the season. And you saw the benefits and the results. This might not have been statistically her best season comprehensively, but for the ways that her game was translated to the playoff stage in particular, which is where it matters most, I say this is her best season to date.
I would 100% agree with you. I think it was her most impactful season by a landslide. I think it's the season she's looked both simultaneously as uncomfortable as a pro, as comfortable as she's looked. And I think that is exactly why she came here. So we're going to get into the specifics with players in a bit. And I want to give Steven an opportunity because he's got some stats for the playoffs for us. And I want to get through these. And I think this is a perfect point to do so.
Yeah. So just to paint a little bit of a picture when we're talking about the Mercury still have work to do, but they're in a very good place that every other team that did not get to the finals would love to have been in. And that's just looking at the numbers to provide a little bit of context. So, Kevin, we can start with the offensive side of the ball. So, looking at their offense in the playoffs specifically, 81.8 points per game was third for all the teams that played in the playoffs. A 100.3 offensive rating was fourth of the 8 teams that made the playoffs. They had a 52.4 true shooting percentage, which is the field goal percentage, including threes and also from the free throw line. So they were fourth in terms of being one of the most effective shooting teams in the playoffs. And then that last number, only turned the ball over 15.7% of the time. So margins. We spent the whole season talking about them. One of the most important ones was winning the possession battle. So taking care of the ball on your end while also forcing your opponents to turn it over. They did a solid job at navigating that. Now we know what happened in the finals, which is where we saw a slippage that we didn't see from the team, honestly, a majority of the season, outside of a one stretch of games where in the middle of the season things got a little muddy. But that's a team that is in a very good spot. And if they find a number that wasn't up there was their 3-point percentage, not even taking more, but if they just find ways to knock down the shots and execute off of the things that they were doing, again, that's the team that's looking at a different outlook and getting at least one game from that final series.
Like I said, literally just a few different bounces of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And we are literally sitting here having a completely different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of diabolical how crazy that is, because it's shots that this team has made in those moments
all season long. They've been one of the best clutch teams in the league outside of Vegas.
To be honest, even in game 4 when they're down by like 9 with a few minutes to go, I'm like, dude, this team's not out of it.
They got another run in them.
The Aces fans next to me are like, oh, I'm booking my plane ticket home. I'm like, oh, bro, get away from me. This game is a long way from over. And it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that they really got it together at the right time. I think that true shooting percentage probably reflects more of the finals than we would like it to. But unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbled for the Mercury. Yeah. We've seen it crumble like that a few different other times. I think there was a game against the Mystics or the Sun that it was like a horrible percentage for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, those games happen. It stinks that it happened when it did. But at the same time, you have to control what you can control. And like Steven said, like about the margins, they didn't play horribly on those margins.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did we talk about in the last season about giving up offensive rebounds to the other team, conceding, possession of the ball? Like that, this team had excellent pursuit and excellent wherewithal to know where to be to make sure that they were giving themselves an ample opportunity to win the game, especially on the offensive end. So I think it was a great point, and it did transfer to the playoffs, just unfortunately not to the finals.
Yeah, I think the hurdle for them is the process part. How can they add another layer to what it was that they were doing to pretty much every team but Vegas? And that's obviously you have the Alyssa Thomas led pick and rolls. We talked about them all season long. Those are great until you have a team that not necessarily solves it, because you don't just outright solve it, but gives you a little bit more to think through, or another depth that you have to work to with your best punch to kind of counterpunch or punch back. Vegas counterpunched with their coverage, with the ways in which they were guarding Alyssa, and the Mercury didn't have enough of an answer to punch back after they countered. And it was more so, we'll do it a little bit, we'll pick our spots with it, but we go from 18 in game 1 that she ran in pick and rolls to it dwindling pretty much every game the rest of the way. That's not a team that's playing to its identity if you're going away from what was the biggest solve on the playoff stage for any team to figure out, and that was the AT-led pick and roll. So I would like for them to get back in alignment with it, add a little bit more shooting.
While we're on that, can I ask you a question about it? Do you feel like that falls on the team? Is that an execution piece? Is that a coaching thing? Where do you think like the missed piece of that came from? And they can obviously do better in that next year. Do you think that's something that the Aces really made them go away from, and that's why they had to stop spamming that button?
It's less the Aces made them go away from it. It feels more like the Mercury decided to go a different route against it. And it was largely just because they weren't getting the access to the paint that they typically do. I would have loved to have seen them flip those into, so AT's trying to come off of the screen and they load up in the covers they want to get to, and whether it's Sammy or Monique, flip those even more so when they're just dribble handoffs. They did it a lot against like Dallas when Dallas was playing with their coverages and things like that. I feel like they had answers to the test that they maybe went to a little bit, but didn't go to the extent that I would have liked to see them go to with it, just to keep themselves in the advantage while not swinging away from their identity on offense too much. But I think that also goes, generally speaking, to their offensive process. Again, just finding more ways. I think they have a little bit more. They had a little bit more answers to the test that I feel like they didn't necessarily lean into to the extent that I thought they would. Going to their actions where they got players in motion off of Alyssa, screening for each other, kind of playing random, if you will, read and react basketball. That's what's needed if you're going up against a team that's switching to the extent that Vegas was. They didn't have an issue going up against the switching from New York. That was the second team that switched the second most against them outside of Golden State. So it just felt like they didn't solve the riddle as soon as Vegas did, and Vegas bought themselves time while also executing when it mattered most.
Yikes. Well, that's tough. Answer my question.
It is. It happens. It happens. That's what the playoffs are about. Sometimes it's simple. Shout out Steve Jones. Sometimes it's as simple as you figuring out one thing and a team trying to have to figure out how to go against that. And if you run out of time, it's not a lot of time left in the playoffs, especially if you're talking about the first round or the second round where it's 3 or 5. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, the true identity of the team, defense.
Yeah.
So let's get to these stats as well, because I feel like this is the really telling stuff anyways.
Yeah, so the identity stamping side of the basketball, the Mercury finished 4th in a defensive rating on the playoff stage at a 99.9. That is very good. They only allowed 32.4 points on average in the paint. Let that settle on the mind for a moment, because that was the best number in the W, largely because of their individual defense, but their help defense as well, in the ways that they protected one another, was second to none. And I think you largely get to that number because of the comprehensive team defense.
Yeah.
30.6 3-point percentage allowed from their opponents was 3rd in the W. That is very good. Teams got up attempts, but they got up attempts not on the terms that they always would like to, obviously, until you got to the final stage, and in the latter 3 games in particular. And then the last one for me was the rebound percentage, which they were also 3rd in. So I get the conversations about wanting them to add a player that's bigger and adding another player that can kind of provide a little more size and all of these things. But when you look at these numbers, you're first in points in the paint allowed. That's not a number that suggests that you need
Extra
like
help.
a brute force type of player, right? You could use it, but that doesn't suggest that you need it. The rebound percentage is what it is. That speaks for itself. Generally speaking, I think they could use someone with a little bit more size, but it can't be someone with just size. That size has to come with depth of versatility on both ends of the floor, because as we saw in the playoffs from the Mercury themselves, if you have a player that's kind of a one-trick player that doesn't do much outside of one thing and they have a bunch of other deficiencies, they're going to find ways to poke at those deficiencies to the extent where you either have to take that player out of your rotation or it's going to come at the detriment of your team being their best version of themselves. And they honestly did that with some of the best players in the league. No disrespect to players like Sabrina. She's not the strongest defender. They put her in action, and they got what they wanted.
Yeah.
Courtney Williams is a very athletic player. She's not the best type of defender. They put her in action. Natisha Heidemann put her in action. They have strengths, but they also have weaknesses. It was hard to get to the ones against the Las Vegas Aces, and that's a team that figured it out.
Are you saying Angel Reese could come to the Mercury and solve our problems?
I'm not saying that, because Angel is not a player that's going to shoot the ball with the level of success that the Mercury need from there. If you have Alyssa Thomas, that should be your one non-shooter that's on the floor for the most part. Everybody else has to be able to space it and shoot it to a certain extent. So obviously, covering the sky, Angel is honestly underrated at this point. I think people look at too much of what they don't want to see from her and don't tout what she does at an all-time great level to the extent that she does. But yeah, I don't think that's a natural fit, having those two players share the floor, because it's all about spacing this in today's W, and you need players that can let that thing fly from deep. And obviously, Nate wants players that do it too.
Period. I've been waiting to ask Steven that question for like a whole month now, so I didn't want to ask during the playoffs. That feels disrespectful to the situation at hand going on with Mercury, and honestly also this guy. But now the season's over, I'm like, gotta throw my shot in the bucket, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You miss every shot you don't take.
For sure.
Shout out to Ali, though, in the chat. Ali used to work with the Washington Mystics, and now he works with DLLS. He was on the Wing show defending Kiki and also Sonia Citron. Respectfully. He had a great argument, but ultimately Paige Beckers was obviously the taker of the award. But Ali is taking one for the team and mentioning his, I didn't even read the super chat. I'm so dumb. $5 from Ali, my guy. Love the show. You guys do a great job. Shout out to that. But then he also said, happy for Satou. She balled out and clearly found a better place. That's tough because I unfortunately know way too much about the Wings practice facility, and he's correct. So, Ali, that's really tough. It could be you soon, but not yet. The practice facility they're getting looks nice, but nothing like the one Mercury have. But we're going to take a quick ad break here on the PHNX Mercury podcast, and then we're going to give postseason grades because I think it's fun, and what better to do at the end of the season. So don't go anywhere. Leave a like, and we will be right back here on the PHNX Mercury podcast. Oh, man, they didn't put them in here. That's tough. It's okay, though, because Mountain America Credit Union, I know those guys like the back of my hand. They're the home of the exclusive Phoenix Mercury credit and debit card. You can get these elite cards from the official credit union of the Phoenix Mercury. Again, available as both debit and credit. You can take advantage of a special checking and credit card promotion for only Phoenix Mercury fans. Get a $200 bonus when you open a Mercury credit card and a MyStyle Checking Account. No annual fee. Credit cards are available as low rate, cashback, or rewards card options. MyStyle accounts can unlock extra benefits like telehealth access, restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, so much more. Mountain America Credit Union is here to guide you forward on your financial journey. Get your Mercury card today and score your $200 bonus. Insured by NCUA, membership is required based on eligibility. This limited time offer ends December 31st, 2025 and can be changed, withdrawn anytime. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit. And then we're here in my favorite studio. Kevin let me pick today. Shout out to that guy, because I'm gonna always pick Studio K, my good friends over at Circle K, because I back the inner circle more than anyone else. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I buy more fuel. I feel like I probably buy more fuel from Circle K than the rest of PHNX combined. So shout out to them, because you get 25 cents off your first fill up. 25 cents off a gallon, then you get 3 cents a gallon off, then you work your way up in the little 5 cent off club. That is the club to be in. And then when they have a fun fuel day, you just put in your little phone number, boom, now you're getting 60 or 40 cents off. Every gallon saves me a lot of money. I'm sure it saves this guy a lot of money, and I know it saves Kevin a lot of money. So shout out to our good friends over at Circle K. You can be just like us. Get 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Froster, 3 for $5 Gatorades. Look, I'm looking at you, Circle K. Please get the Shirley Temple Gatorade. I'm begging from the bottom of my heart. But you can join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. I really need that Shirley Temple Gatorade. I feel like I'm being, and like, sorry, Max. Actually, I really am not that sorry. And you know why I'm not that sorry, Max. If you're watching, give me what I want.
A walla.
No free ads. And
I was just making a noise.
But give me it. This is not a joke, Max. Okay? This is your fault. We are late for the show by like 35 seconds. Your fault, Max. Me giving a free ad right now to the electrolyte drink. Your fault, Max. So at the end of the day, give me what I want or give me a Shirley Temple Gatorade. Pick a side, Max. You can't be wrong twice. David's right. We need Shirley Temple Gatorade more than we need air. It's literally not that hard. Put it out. I saw they put out like 20 bottles of it. I'm like, why would you do that? I'm a good person. I deserve good things. And like, I'm not saying I deserve the Gatorade, but I deserve to purchase it. Like, you don't have to send it to me for free. I'm not PR package worthy, but give me the damn Gatorade. Give me the Gatorade. Anyways. All right. I want to start a little postseason grades. And I want to include the regular season in here because I think it's relevant to how they got to where they got. So I think boom, bada bing. I want to start with Nate Tibbetts though. Let's start at the top.
So you're doing just the season at large, or
season at large, including postseason, but season at large.
Okay.
And
is Kevin participating, or is he just being?
I think Kevin's participating.
I agree.
Sure.
He has nothing better to do than to just sit there. So
that's definitely correct.
But Nate Tibbetts, second season with the Phoenix Mercury, second season in the WNBA. got this team to 27-17 in the regular season. I don't know the number off the top of my head. 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6 in the postseason. Wow, look at that. Erica did math live and on the air. 5 and 6 in the postseason. And can I say something? May I speak? I guess we do post podcasts. I don't know what other thing I would do other than speak. But can I just say, and like I saw everybody talking about it in the playoffs, and I tried really hard to be like, oh, it's fine, but it's not. You have this identity of being a player backing coach, and then we get to the playoffs, and you don't want. I think that the Tech in game, what was it, 2 versus the Aces? No, it was 3 because it was in Phoenix.
Talking about when he got
no, because he got 1 Tech in the game before he got tossed. And so yes, right. I felt like he forgot who he was for a second. Like I'm like, Nate, you go to bat for these people all the time. You go, these players are like some of the best players in the world. If AT is looking at you to challenge something, I'm not saying you have to do it, and I understand there's a logistic piece behind it more than just like Alyssa's waving her finger in there. I get it. I do. Okay. I watch the Seattle Storm. I see the finger all the time. But that said, I just feel like that was aligned so much in his identity in the regular season and just like kind of believing his players. And maybe not to the extent that he did in 2024. I think it was even more so in 2024. But in 2025, I feel like it was a very educated decision all the time. And I feel like there were foul calls that if I were Nate Tibbetts, I would have thrown the red flag. I would have pilled it on my sock and thrown the challenge flag. And I understand, beggars can't be choosers. And in hindsight, everything is 2020. But man, oh man, would it be nice to just get some of that back. And, I'm thinking about one time there was a foul call on Satou and she literally did not touch the person. And like, again, woulda, coulda, shoulda type stuff. But that was my only real complaint about Mr. Nate Tibbetts this whole season. Y'all know if there's one person that backs Girl Dad, you're looking at her. But I'm like, Nate, you're causing me physical pain right now. Physical pain. So I'm going B+. And I want Steven to make me feel better about it, but he might not.
So you go from 0 wins in your first season in the playoffs.
Oh, you're right. That's why 5. I said B+. That's a good grade. That's way better than passing.
I'm not mad at it. I'm definitely not mad at it. I think having to navigate the regular season the ways in which you did
was tough.
The timing of choosing to acknowledge that you're finally healthy and then condensing the rotation to ultimately what it is that you go and gets you to the finals was A+ coaching. I think that finding ways to get more out of Satou Sabally in particular. It's not something that any of her other coaches have done on the playoff stage in particular. And if you're talking about coaching, that's also maximizing the roster that you have. Anybody that's not speaking from an agenda-pushing perspective could not say with a straight face that they did not maximize this roster. Because how many rookies in the main rotation? You have these questions about an Alyssa Thomas-led roster. You have these questions about Satou Sabally on the playoff stage. How this Big Three is going to fit together. And he goes and he plays his part in establishing the culture that they buy into and ultimately wear on their hearts and sleeves. The identity that they play with in addition to the culture established. And then you see it finish in the finals. That's an A- season for me. Now, you get to A+ by winning 1 or 2, and obviously, or you get to A by winning 1 or 2 games in that.
A+.
And you get to A+, obviously, if you finish the season because you left no stone unturned.
Steven was doing the Mac dance on the show.
For sure.
Look, when it was still possible, he was like, I'm not doing that. And now that it's not possible, he's like, for sure. That's crazy.
I mean, but yeah. Back to Nate. You get to that point in the season and you do the things that he did. You pull the strings that he pulled. You tweak the things that you did in your system to complement and support this team, not what you did last season that was successful. That's an A-. That's nothing less than an A- season by my eye. Are there things I feel like they could have did better on the playoff stage? Of course. I mean, yeah, but how much of that did they need to adjust versus how much of it was a lack of execution from the pieces that were on the floor? And I think that's where I kind of split hairs in the middle. Yes, you could have tried other things, but what about if you didn't need to try other things because you were simply executing the ways that you showed to be as far as your identity?
Yep.
Talk about defensively, how many turnovers were they forcing against Minnesota and New York in comparison to what they were doing on the finals against Vegas? Is that Nate Tibbetts, or is that the players just not necessarily doing the things to the extent that they were prior? I talked to Alyssa Thomas after game 4. So after the series is over, and I asked her like kind of what was the shift that you saw from the first 2 series and the final one? And she said they let their foot off the gas. So that's not an indictment against any individual, but you can't point your finger and say that that's only and that's all entailing Nate if the best player on the roster is saying that they collectively took their Like, so contextualizing it all, my point saying A-, room for improvement. But your room for improvement coming from a finals appearance versus another first round exit, outright missing the playoffs or losing in the second round, is different. There's levels to it. And I think everybody would trade places with the Mercury right now, losing in the finals, outside of Vegas, obviously, because duh.
You know they're getting Ludacris at the parade.
They getting everybody.
You know Ludacris was like one of my first
there.
concerts ever.
That's fire.
Number 1 spot is like, and he's definitely gonna play it. Like that's I think about it. Like every time I get in the car, I'm like, oh, I should probably listen to Ludacris. Like, it's just like that, you know. Kevin, what's your Mr. Nate Tibbetts grade and pourquoi? Why?
A-, parce que je pense que, sorry, because I think that. This man. Because I think that he accomplished most everything he needed to do this year in only his second year in the league. Mm-hmm. If you had told me that a second-year coach had made it all the way to the WNBA Finals and got bested by the WNBA's current dynasty in the Aces, no shame in that. Sure, optically, you would like it to go a little bit better. Sure, optically, you wouldn't like to get ejected in the final game before you can, go out on your shield with your squad. However, I think that is kind of going out on your shield for your squad in that game. He didn't even mean to get ejected. It was bad officiating in the first place, but we're not on a post-game show for the finals. I give him
great officials.
I give F. I grade him an A- because I think he accomplished most everything he set out to do this year, and he was not handed a very stable bag of tricks, I will say, because you also had so much roster movement early on in the year, so many first-year players as well. It's not like he was gifted. I mean, he was obviously gifted a lot of veterans, like Alyssa Thomas, like DeWanna Bonner, like Kahleah Copper, for example. But like the supplemental role pieces that you need to make a run that the Mercury did make, he was a huge part in the development of that and the game planning and the scouting that him and Vogel and the rest of the staff were able to accomplish. A-, room for improvement, only a second year, not a perfect coach, got really close to finishing the job. So for that, A-.
I'll give everybody their grade. I like that. I like that there's only 1 degree of separation. And actually, I feel like everyone usually thinks I'm too easy on the guy. So if anything, I'm glad that I had the lowest grade at 3. Can't nobody say I was easy on the guy today. But nonetheless, I want to go down the list, and it's not necessarily going to be all the starters, but I feel like the biggest role players on the team. And I want to start with this show's MVP, and that's no disrespect to Miss Asia Wilson, but it's just a little homerism because I can and I host the podcast. So Alyssa Thomas, having arguably one of her best seasons of all time. I'm sure Steven's got the stats for it, but I think that she, and a lot of it is due to the product around her, but I think you can't help but give AT a A++++. She was always willing to do whatever it needed to be done to get the win for the team. She was willing to do it. If she needed to box out, she boxed out. She played defense on the best player. She played defense on the best player. If she needed to score some buckets, she scored buckets. She went out night after night after night after night and consistently did what the team asked her to do. I feel like we probably both would have liked to see a little more from her in the playoffs. But again, it's one of those things where if the ball bounces differently, she's got 3 more assists on every game that we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't mad at her playoff performance in any way, shape, or form, to be blunt with you. And I think that while I am 100% still of the opinion that Kahleah Copper is the franchise player in Phoenix, AT is right there 1B with her, because when you have the gravity, the weight that AT brings with her as far as being on your roster, you can't help but at least be in the upper elite echelon of greatness on your team. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they play on Diana Taurasi Court at Mount America Credit Union practice facility, and still AT is one of the best players to be practicing on that court. And that is just, it's incredible what she was able to do with the team of shooters around her. That's what she said earlier in the season. She was just as happy as all of us were that they were able to build this type of roster around her. And I think she went out there and did exactly what the team needed her to do with those pieces. She incited confidence into everybody else, whether it was Kahleah, Satou, Dawana, even Natasha Mack. I mean, you could go down the whole entire roster and talk about the ways in which AT had an effect on their, you know, year or career in general. But genuinely, I can't envision a player moving across the country and making as big of an impact in year one as AT did in Phoenix.
Yeah. What is this? 4 straight playoffs where she finishes with nothing less than a second round appearance. 4, or it might be 5 years in a row at this point. She's like the only player in the league to have that right now. Like, few players in the history of the game on either side of basketball have driven winning in the ways that the engine has. No pun intended with the driven part, but that's just the way that it happens. When you're speaking to someone that's as consistently great as Alyssa Thomas is, she has a standard. Her teams consistently meet that. Her teams also always have a specific identity that's akin with the defensive side of the basketball. So you start there. You look at everything she did in the regular season. Was Defensive Player of the Year caliber? Was Defensive Player of the Year worthy? She ultimately did not win the award outright. But at multiple moments, especially early in the season, she was the league's best defender. And that was the foundational, the tone-setting days of the season. Everybody understood, okay, we can't get to where we ultimately want to be if we're not playing and exuding the same energy and urgency that AT is. So you start on the defensive end, and you look at everything that she was able to do. She starts the series in the finals guarding Asia. In the middle of it, she's guarding Chelsea, and at the end of it, she's guarding Jackie. And we talked about all of that throughout each of their series that they were playing, and the way that would help them come playoff time is something they didn't have in the previous iteration of the roster. She's just great. And then the offensive side of the ball,
the ultimate connector.
Let me just outdo only myself in triple doubles. Let me just outdo one season of Caitlin Clark, but myself twice en route to another most assists in history of the league. Let me outdo myself in most three-point assists in history. It's just special. Simply put, special. AT gets an A+. If we could throw like 5 or 6 more pluses on top of that, I would. The intangibles, the leadership was clearly felt from her in multiple ways. The culture establishing figure that she is was felt in training camp, was felt on media day. Kahleah Copper steps up, and AT came in to challenge us and said, are we going to play defense? Because she understands if they don't, they're not getting to where they want to be. So all around, shout out to Alyssa. Nate's mentioned it. She made him a better coach for the things that she was able to do, but also for the insight that she brought to conversations. It's not just doing what's said, but also adding to that conversation to make everybody more informed. A+. A+++.
Plus.
And another plus on top of that.
Anything to add, Kevin? Because I doubt you're going to dispute our A++s.
He might say we needed one more plus, but
what is AT but with a lowercase t? That's an A+. It's already in her name. A+ all day. AT. I'll just say this: like everything positive that we are going to reminisce on throughout this episode and already have starts with Alyssa Thomas. Like it starts there. You don't get any of the other stuff that we're reminiscing on without AT being who AT is. We don't give Nate Tibbetts an A- or whatever we consensusly gave him without AT. He's not in the finals without AT. This team's not in the finals without AT. And for that, how could AT have done better? You know what I mean? AT. A+. Plus.
You get a plus for every triple-double she had in her career so far. So
a lot of pluses.
That up. Yeah, tally that up.
Wow, that's a lot of zeros in my bank account. Anyways, next player on my list, I'm going to go with Satou Sabally, and I'm not skipping Kahleah. I'm coming back. Guys. But Satou Sabally, brand new role for her, a brand new team, brand new coach, brand new system. She played with some of these players in Unrivaled, but outside of that, I don't know that she's had a ton of playing experience against this exact group of people or with this exact group of people. And so I think all in all, like you said, statistically, not her best season, but she also, I think, had a different role here and a different level of responsibility and pieces around her that she could count on consistently. So she didn't have to have her statistical best season. So for that reason, I'm going to go with a B+.
So regular season, Satou, 16.3 points to lead the Mercury in points per game. She also had 5.9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.3 steals. Got to the free throw line 4.7 times, knocked those down at 82.7%. 5.4 three-point attempts a game at 32%, and she shot 40% from the field. Keep those numbers in mind because as we transition to the playoffs, everything's doing this and it's going up. And again, if you're talking about Satou being an all-star caliber player, we've known her to be that. It's about the and then what? Because you solidify yourself as an all-star, cool. And now what else in addition to that? Can you sustain that on the playoff stage? Satou just goes from 16 point to 19 points per average or points per game on the playoff stage. You talk about the assists 2.5. She maintains that on the playoff stage. Six and some change on rebounds in the regular season, 7 in the playoffs on average. Free throw attempts go up to 6 attempts a game. The free throw percentage goes up to 86.7%. The three-point numbers, you talked about her being at 32% on 5 and some change attempts in the regular season. She takes 2 more attempts on the playoff stage and maintains that efficiency and percentage, 33%. She's doing the things that you want to see from her. Now, what they could have done better for her is put her in those positions that she showed to be successful in through the regular season, especially early on, getting her touches around the rim and letting her work without having to create as much for herself. That's where a little bit of the flaw in process that in addition to layer that I'm looking for them to establish going into the next season is. But you tell me she averaged 16 and some change in the regular season, that goes up to 19 and the efficiency rises with that. That's an A season from Satou.
I like that.
I didn't even talk about her defense, which she was very, very good on the defensive end.
Especially in the playoffs.
Specifically in the playoffs. Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones.
It did not matter
and
how
Lamisa
tall the tree
Man,
was, she would climb.
Nafisa Collier, Atlanta Smith, Bridget Carlton, K-Mac, Asia at times,
Meaningful
Chelsea at
minutes on these
times,
players.
Jackie. She was very good defensively. I don't know if they lose game 3 if she does not get hurt. Because at that point, I think she scored 9 points in the fourth quarter, and we were only about 4 and some change minutes into that period. They were within, I think, a possession or 2 at the time where she got hurt. She was getting it rolling. You win that game, you win the first of your 2 on your court, you're guaranteeing at least a 5th game. And everything that goes into game 4 looks completely different if you go and get game. It's a lot of ifs, but again, when you're talking about a series that was played in a box in a literal sense, Satou had a very, very, very good season. And I think a lot of it comes from the playoff showing for me more than anything. Bad game 1 against New York, the bounce back game. And then the game to close New York out. Bad game 1 against Minnesota, the bounce back game in that series. And the next 2 games to follow after that. And then the finals were what they were. She didn't have the best game 1 outside of the first quarter. Game 2 was a little bit better. Game 3 was definitely better. And then you ultimately saw what was the Mercury without her in game 4.
Also, really quick, I want to have this conversation really, really quickly because I saw a lot of conversations about it over the last week or so, and I don't want to sound hateful to the internet, but I think it's very uneducated to discuss the next player we're about to talk about in Kahleah Copper and Satou Sabally on a coin as if you can't have one without the other, because that's simply not true. And you let your franchise player go to Miami, play an Unrivaled, have a hoot and a holler, and you know what she goes and does? She brings back Satou Sabally and Alyssa Thomas. So first of all, This not breaking news, but I feel very confident in my speculation that Kahleah Copper will be in a Phoenix Mercury jersey next year. I also feel pretty confident in Satou Sabally being in a Phoenix Mercury jersey next year. A little less on that one, but only because of her age. It's honestly nothing else. Like literally nothing else. It's just that I feel like Satou could want to try new things comparatively to Kahleah, because Kahleah is getting older, probably wants the riches that come with the Phoenix Mercury facility, and no one blames her, to be honest. AT, I can about guarantee you that woman is not going to go play basketball somewhere else next year. Again, I'm not breaking news and I am not a confirmed source, but what I can use is my context clues and critical thinking skills to know that these players chose to play together. They sat at a dinner table and Unrivaled and said, hey man, I really like the way you play. Would you like to play together? And they were like, yeah, man, we'll pack our bag when we get home. So that being said, let's all put on our thinking caps, revert back to earlier in the season and think back to what happened, how we got here. How did we get here? How did AT get here? How did Satou get here? Oh, you mean Kahleah Copper flew here from Miami to go to Satou's welcome presser. And you want to tell me that they have to choose? I don't buy it. I'm returning what you're trying to sell me for a full refund. So yeah, I know a lot of people's thinking cap is broken, but please, let's use some critical thinking skills when we talk about these players, because they deserve that. They deserve that. And it just grinds my gears. I saw this lady on TikTok, and I know I'm horrible about this, about being like, I saw this lady on TikTok, and that's fact to me. I'm like, oh, for sure, it's fact. But she's like, God needs help. I'm like, do you understand? Have you watched a Phoenix Mercury basketball game all season? I don't know. Have you? Oh, did you realize Satou Sabally did not play in game 4? Because that's what she was talking about. No tear shade to that girl. I'm sure she's just an Aces fan, and I got triggered. My bad. But genuinely, she's like, Ka needs to go. What? Huh? Huh?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I've seen some people saying things, and it is what it is.
I know. I just get worked up over the little things. But oh my good Lanta, again, it is really just using your critical thinking skills. 2 + 2 never has ever equaled 5. Just in case you guys were wondering. Anyways, Kevin, would you like to grade the unicorn at all?
Yeah, just for a recap, what were the grades already given for the unicorn?
B- or B+ and A-.
I gave Satou a solid A.
Oh, A.
Yeah,
Okay.
solid A. Yeah.
I'm gonna give Satou a B+.
Okay.
But it's not for anything like negative Satou did. I think being put into a new role, right, and really trying to learn that role is going to come with some growing pains, and it's going to come with some inconsistencies, and you're going to maybe drop some stats in which you think you might have a higher chance at if you just played the way you're used to playing. But I think like by the end of the season, by the playoffs, when you needed Satou most, like Satou was coming through for you. And I think even in that game where she unfortunately exited with that head injury, like Satou was hooping. In a real way. And I think like if Satou stays in that game, like who knows how that game could end. And so I think like A-, B+ is like right in that range for Satou Sabally. I fully anticipate if Satou Sabally is playing in a second year under Nate Tibbetts and in that same role, this grade next year could be an A+. This grade next year could be perfect for Satou Sabally because I think at the end of the year you were seeing a much more comfortable version of Satou, like in a like Erica said, in a first-year context, like in trying new things. So, yeah, B+, but it's a very good B+.
Yeah, to your point, no one played more roles for the team than Satou did. Starts the season in one role without Kahleah, plays another one because Alyssa's out with injury early, and she's out there as the sole superstar that's on the roster. They both come back in waves, and she has to shapeshift her role in respect to what they're bringing. And then plays another different role once the Warner comes around. And then they plays another different role when they condense the rotation to 8. That's a lot of change for a player that was already in a brand new situation. You have to be receptive to coaching. And she was very clearly that, unapologetically that. People were asking for more from her. She's like, no, I'm going to do what the coaches are asking me to do because I know ultimately the goal is to be better for when? The playoffs, not the regular season. So if my scoring numbers go down from what was last season and the season before, but I play better in the playoffs, that's not even a trade. That's something that you just desire as a player. And because we saw what she did on the playoff stage, I just don't feel comfortable giving her anything less than an A on that. But I see an A- in there, I understand it, and I see a B+ because I understand that part too.
I just think there's so much room for improvement that
there's room for improvement.
I don't want to give her an A and then be like, next year A+ and she averaged 5 more points. I'm like, I'm gonna look like a real dumb.
I hear you. But the other side of it though is the defense. The defense. At multiple points this season, she was an all defensive caliber player. In tandem with being an all offensive, all W caliber player, second team wise. So shout out Satou. She did what she did.
And I was literally just thinking about this earlier today. I'm like, man, I can't believe we haven't gotten an injury update about Satou. She's not playing basketball. It's actually disheartening. It's so heartbreaking for me. I was texting Kevin. I talked to him when I got here. I was talking to my good friend Kobe, and I'm like, I'm so bored without the WNBA. They're like, the college basketball starts this week. Shut up.
Preseason basketball's on right now.
Good for the preseason basketball. I don't care about that. And I don't care to watch Arizona struggle against Houston in football this weekend either. So I'm going to just say it. WNBA or bust, man. He was like, oh, all the sports are on right now. All the sports? All the sports?
Some of the sports.
Anyways.
Basketball is a sport.
Anyways, I want to get to Kahleah Copper. Next big piece in this puzzle. Kahleah Copper obviously missed the first fourth of the games with the injury and then came back and took a little time to shake the rust off, but ultimately returned to true form just in time for the playoffs, I fear, and turned it on. She turned the Jets on in multiple important moments. My goodness. And I think Kahleah Copper, even when she was sitting on the bench due to injury, had such an important leadership role on this team, being one of the 2 returners on the roster. And I think she did a fantastic job of getting, honestly, I would give her the A+ just for the freaking recruiting piece of it. But I would say A because I kind of a similar reason to Satou actually, where I know she has more in her bag and it's not a shot at Kahleah because she simply was coming off injury. She will be better when she has more time to do so. It's honestly pretty simple. So I think an A for her coming off injury like that and working her way back into the season and in a team that was as different as it was a year ago for her was pretty impressive. And then obviously she had playoff performances that she did. And when you can turn it on like that, A+. So I'm going to say A for Kahleah Copper in my season-wide grading system.
Kevin, you want to speak on Kahleah a little bit?
I mean, I think you could copy-paste some of what I said about AT, but for different reasons in terms of where the success for this team really starts. Like you guys both alluded to, the unrivaled relationships that Kahleah was able to form with AT and Satou that formed this team that ultimately ended up going to the finals and falling to the Aces. Kahleah Copper had an incredible season, right? 30 points in that elimination game in the finals, 23 in game 3, I believe, and then also the 21-point game in game 2. To Erica's point about turning it on when the lights were the brightest, it felt like if the Mercury were down big in a playoff game, Kahleah Copper, you could bank on it, was trying to go get buckets every single time to will them back into these games. Kind of being I know we called Alyssa Thomas the engine, all season, but underrated, the engine is kind of Kahleah Copper from a tonal standpoint. I think this team really takes on her attitude in that way. I know Alyssa Thomas has that hard work attitude, but I think that Mercury versus everybody, that starts with Kahleah Copper. So for all of those non-intangibles combined with the tangibles on the court, I give Kahleah Copper a slightly better grade than I gave Satou of an A.
Okay. I like both of those answers, reasons why, and grades for Kahleah. I give Ka a A, and it starts with the humility and the pride, because to accept the understanding of needing help, and not needing help as in she can't be her best self without other good players around, but understanding that, like I said in the episode last week, it's an arms race. And you have to leverage the things that you have as an advantage for you the best way you can to build the best team that you can to be the team in the franchise's best iteration of itself. And, I mean, she did that. Kahleah Copper Nick Uren gets the attention that he deserves, understandably so. But Kai going to get those two to pluck those two away from unrivaled, that's A+ general managing. That's A+ decision making, and to do the things that she did to bring him in. You get past that part of it, and you look at her willingness to not necessarily take a step back, but to step in a different approach to allow for Satou to be her best self, to allow for, obviously, Alyssa to be her best self. That's a different way than she played last season. Last season was her best scoring season, and she wasn't that this season, but she showed the growth that she had in her best scoring season in pockets, in meaningful moments. You look at the finals. You look at the second round. From game three of the first round all the way through the finals, the finish of it, she averaged 18.6 points a game.
Oh.
That was not like on 46% from the field, 47% from the field if you round up. Also knocked down 2 attempts on almost 6 3-point attempts on average in that stretch of games. She was hooping. She was doing everything they needed to. Timely moments defensively, big-time shots. I think some of their solve is going to come from them better utilizing the big three. And I think that Kahleah probably needs to be the one with the ball in her hands in those decision-making moments. It was more so in AT's hands more than anything just because of the creation standpoint. But I think that if they figure that part out, again, you're right back at the finals level. And at that point, it's a dice roll.
And Ka, for the Mercury, as far as I'm concerned, has been the best player in the clutch over the last 2 seasons over and over and over again.
For sure.
So she's proven that she can make good, timely decisions in quick moments when it's needed the most. Mm-hmm. So I think you make raise great points. My goodness gracious.
I would like to see her stay healthy next season.
Same.
Because I feel like she has a top 5 scoring season in her future.
I think we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about the MVP race next year on our own team, and I think that's a lot of fun.
That's true. You could see that.
I want to, and I don't want to lump everybody together. We're just already going long, so I want to get through everybody that I want to get through. I'm going to lump Mo and Mac together just because of their reigning starters, and then we're going to put Sammy and DB together, and we'll go from there. So I've led every time. I'm going to let Steven lead for Mo and Mac.
Yeah, Mo and Mac both get B pluses for this season if we're combining the two. Mo doing what she did, should have been all defensive team, should have been all rookie team. Alyssa gets attention for setting the tone for the defense, but Mo and everything she did at points of attack for the team all season long. To be a rookie and not be shy, coming in and immediately getting the Skylar Diggins matchup, getting Kelsey Mitchell matchups and things of that nature, and doing as well as she did, special. And Natasha Mack.
Honk, 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 honk.
That's Big Mac, and definitely not the little one. She grew up in front of our eyes this season, and just stepping into her own as a player, the confidence was unignorable, honestly. She showed more personality, but she showed more of that because of the confidence that came from the work that she put into her craft. Finding the things that she did well and doing those things better this season and sustaining at a certain level. Again, if she doesn't get hurt early in the season, she's someone that is staking some portion of claim into that most improved player, considering her impact defensively and everything she did for the team as far as that goes. So those two players combined, I think a B plus is more than appropriate. I think they both left some to be desired on the playoff stage, and where if they get some of that kind of shifts things in more in the Mercury favor, specifically in the finals. But generally speaking, those two players, B plus. What about you?
I think B plus is a great grade for them. I think Mac, to your point, has room for improvement, and that's no shot at my girl. That's actually, I'm so excited about her in Athletes Unlimited. Yeah. I think that's a great fit for her, and I think that she will grow immensely in that. She'll have a good friend in Cindy Brunson over there, making sure she gets good play calls. I'm just stoked for her. I think it's a great fit. I think Mo actually landed back in Cameroon literally today. So I saw someone, Get Fit Elementary said, I'm hoping Mo does a lot of work this season. I literally would bet money that Mo was in the gym today.
I don't even think it's necessary. I think it's just more confidence than anything, honestly, because she was a player that shot above league average from deep. And she did some other things in addition to the three-point shooting that made her a riddle to solve for teams. She does even a little bit of that on the playoff stage.
It's different. When Ka was out, she was like picking up some of the scoring, that we really, really needed from literally anybody. And Mo was a reliable hand in that. So huge shouts to Big Mo, not the little one. Huge shouts to Big Mac, not the little one. Facts on that. Kevo, do you agree with the B pluses across the board for Mo and Mac?
I do. I think you could even argue an A for specifically Mo. I know it's a group thing here, but like first should have been first team all rookie. I think that is deserving of an A, but I do like the B plus.
There's no second team.
Yeah.
Cool. Just want to let you know. But anyways, then last but most, absolutely certainly not least, some of the biggest role players in the WNBA this season in DeWanna Bonner and Sammy Whitcomb. And
That's some high-end role players, well, I tell you.
Yeah. It's like when you say embarrassment of riches and then you're talking about DeWanna Bonner and Sammy freaking Whitcomb, like how do you get better than, I guess, let me not ask that because, you know, the Aces would like a word, but
you got Jewel Lloyd coming off the bench. You're doing something well too.
Yeah. Jewel, if you need a new home in the off season, I know a place that has even newer facilities. That's all I'm gonna say. But no, I think Sammy gets a from me in particular. I think being in the scoring droughts that she was in at multiple different times in the season, literally so many different times in the season, I'm like, dude, is Sammy ever gonna make a bucket ever again? And then timely end of game buzzer beating shots. She just knows how to make plays. Even if it's not her scoring the ball, she's gonna jump higher than every other guard on the floor. And I didn't even know she could do that. Like, I'm like, holy crap. And so I think Sammy is just a will to win type of player. And you can say the exact same thing about DeWanna Bonner, where she's always going to put her team in the absolute best position to win games. And so I think they actually both get an A from me. And especially considering the circumstances in which DeWanna came here and coming off of that situation in Indiana and then boom, rolling into here. And I think Satou was out with injury at that time. So you had even bigger responsibility on your back. Plus, and you can say this and you can say that, but like she's coming into a team that has a vibe already. They have a way that they've been able to win quite a lot of games already. So she was able to come in and make meaningful impact that didn't ruin everything that was already going on. So I think A's both players.
Yeah, I say this with respect. They needed a little bit more from the non-Big Three contingency of their playoff rotation, especially because they were only playing 8. So it's like, okay, if you got these 3 and they're giving you what they give you in respect to their individual skills, and they're doing some things even in addition to that, you need a little bit more, especially on the final stage, than what they kind of were able to provide. Now, DeWanna obviously had the loudest of loud game 3 and game 4 in the finals. And Sammy had her moments, especially against the Minnesota Lynx in particular. But you would love one more made 3 from Sammy. More. You would love one more made 3 on average from DeWanna to help navigate those first 2 series. And naturally, if you get that in those series, you hope to get that on the final stage. Yep. And we talked about it being literal possession games in 3 of the 4 games that we watched on the final stage. That's enough to shift things. So they left something to be desired, but I think if you're looking at it on the court, that's that. The intangibles part is unignorable again because the leadership that Sammy brought, that steadying hand. Mo had her issues on the playoff stage as naturally as any rookie or any player new to a league would have. Who steps in? Sammy Whitcomb. Closing a lot of games at the point guard position for the Mercury, not just on the offensive end, but defensively. She's not the biggest or most athletic person, but she plays with a certain heady type of IQ that helps her create advantage in her own. And then you look at the DB side of it all, the versatility speaks for itself. She was the team's best rebounder on the playoff stage. DeWanna freaking Bonner. Special to have those 2 in those roles for this team. I give those 2 an A-. I feel like if they play up to an A or A+ level, then we're looking at a team that's going to a decisive game 6 or 7 in the finals. But just not to put it all on them because it's not that, but I think if they chip in the ways that they showed to do the latter end of the regular season and the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, I think things look a little bit different for them. But all in all, if you say you have 2 role players that were A's, I think you're doing something well. And I think those 2 are both A's.
Clock. Kevo?
Clock it. I concur.
Last quick one, Cat Westbrook. You gotta talk about the top. You're
right.
8. Cat gets probably a B+ for me. Starting, coming off the bench, starting again. coming off the bench in the playoffs, closing some games. That game 3 in Minnesota the game 2 in Minnesota was absolutely ridiculous. She had moments in the New York Liberty series where she was just putting pressure on Emma Miesemann in ways that I wasn't anticipating or expecting. She had a couple moments in the finals as well. Shout out Kat.
Kat never strayed away from the big moment, and she could have multiple times in the series. And so I can never be mad at Kat. Yeah. Game 2 versus the Lynx, the Kat Westbeld legacy game.
Mm-hmm.
So
they don't get the comeback without her, and that changes the trajectory of the rest of the playoffs at that point.
But I want to actually. Did you give a grade?
I said B+.
Oh, period. I like B+. I think only again because she has room for improvement. She came into what the team needed her to do, but I know she can get better. She can be a starting player somewhere in this league.
Yeah, and that's what's so tough about expansion, because there ain't no guarantee she's gonna be back, because I'm sure other teams will have more of a role to extend to her in terms of opportunity. That hurts to say, because she was just so good, but that's what happened. I'm sorry.
I want to answer Estee's question though, because she asked us, or they asked us, what is y'all's most memorable game from the overall season? And I actually took a quick peek because I'm like, am I forgetting something? But do you have one in mind?
Game 2 against the Minnesota Lynx, because that was the most Mercury encapsulated game I feel like we saw the entire playoffs. That team is healthy, Minnesota. Phoenix is healthy. Slow start. Minnesota playing the game on their terms. Get to the second half, you're down 20 points. And you have to make it happen. Otherwise, you are running out of time. You got to go and win 3 straight against a team that probably didn't lose 3 straight all season long. And they say, nah, we got time. Kat Westbeld, do some stuff. And she's like, all right, bet. Grab an offensive rebound here. Block a shot there. Take away some things on defense here. Knock down some threes in transition there. Make some good passes here. Offensive rebound there leads to another 3. Comeback happens. Overtime. That's the most Mercury win on the playoff stage for me. That game 2. Yeah, that was special. Satou doing what she did in that game 2, especially in the fourth quarter overtime, was insane. Alyssa Thomas being absolutely a menace on the court on both ends of the floor. Yeah, it's game 2 for Minnesota against Minnesota for me, and it happened on the road too.
I think that's actually the only reason my game is going to be game 3 versus New York.
Gotcha.
I think, a homer loves a home game. My bad, everybody.
That's a great question for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And they won by 6, but it felt like a tight game, top to bottom. And I love a tight game. I love when I can leave and feel comfortable about winning. But at the end of the day, like, you don't feel comfortable against a team like the New York Liberty. You don't feel comfortable against any of the playoff opponents that the Mercury had. So it was a fun game to just be at. It was a fun game to watch. Also, game 4, honorable mention against the Lynx, only because, I mean, I've never been at anything like that for any team, actually. Yeah. So, getting to see them go to the finals, getting to see Mac is excited. Friend of the program, Natasha Mack, getting to see our squad as happy as they were, like, it's just very special. So special shout out to those 2 games. But then also there was a 1-point victory versus the Valkyries that I think about more than I should. And I know the Valkyries aren't all that bag of chips, but they just let them play in Valhalla. They might be in the playoffs a little longer than they were. So
that game, the second game against Minnesota, when AT just absolutely lost their mind, that was another one of those.
Obviously, sitting courtside at the final game, and honestly, watching Nate Tibbetts get thrown out was pretty electric for me personally. Even losing the game, in hindsight, still absolutely electric. And the fact that he didn't mean to get thrown out makes it even better, to be honest, because Kevin and I are sitting there and, like, you're watching his face and he looks so confused.
He was.
And I didn't catch all of what happened because, when you're sitting that close, there's only so many things you can see at the same time, But yeah, it's just,
slight flex,
But it's true. Like, you can't see. My peripheral vision only goes so far. So Yeah, and then you just see him looking so distraught walking toward us. It was very iconic Nate Tibbetts for me personally. And when I said earlier that like he got away from his identity, that's what I mean. I'm like, get tossed, man. I'll post the picture. I will post the picture if you get tossed every time. So just watch out. I'm hoping that we get a better Nate Tibbetts headshot next year. I've been using the same one for 2 years because the year 2 one wasn't that good. So, and that's not a slight at Nate. It's just looks like the WNBA stressed you out, bro. So, did we miss anything?
I think we
one last
checked
question
off all the
actually
boxes.
before we go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Christy Tolliver will be back in 2026?
I do not.
I do not either.
I think Seattle would be wise if they were already having an interview set up with her. I think Dallas would be very wise if you've seen her old tweets to be like, hey, what did you mean by that? And go and figure out exactly what it was, because her with Paige, that would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. Similarly, seeing her with Dominique Malonga and everything that is what they're working with in Seattle right now, her spearheading a new era with that franchise, no different than her Mystics-led teams when she was with them and they were going to the finals. Obviously being here with Phoenix and going to the finals. That's a lot of what I imagine they're going to be looking for from whoever it is that are their head coaching candidates. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I think time is up for
I tried, everybody.
Christy.
I tried to be committed to the bit.
And it's because she's just so great. She has the NBA background in addition to having won as a player.
And the players just love her so much.
She's genuinely, you can't not like Christy.
She's the best person. Like, genuinely top to bottom, she's just a fantastic human being. So,
and Alyssa even mentioned it in her, it wasn't exit interviews, but after game 4, everything she went through off the court, they had her away from the team for the first fourth of the season, if you will. She said she wasn't sure if she would be able to have wanted to come back just because of the toll that it took. She did, and she gave what she gave, and they don't get to the finals without Christy Tolliver. So yeah, shout out Christy. Obviously not breaking news, but I don't imagine she's going to be back because she's just too
That's why
great.
I wanted to say
They didn't expect her to be back this season either, honestly.
No, I didn't either. To be honest, I'm like, okay, I guess.
For sure.
I don't know. It was a fun year though. So
It was.
Shout out to the team. Shout out to KT. Shout out to Nate Tibbetts. The rest of the coaching staff. What's wrong?
I have one more grade for you guys to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys grade Wheezy and what do you guys grade Scorch? Because I was on the internet the other day and I was checking my LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Getting new connections, expanding my network.
So are they hiring a host too?
No. Wheezy is good. But that's a separate thing. I want you guys to grade Wheezy because that should be an A+ always.
Well, you just gave the answer because there's like he's the best in the W, especially.
Okay, that's the Wheezy grade.
That was easy.
Luke.
But the Scorch grade seemingly must be an F. No, we got a mascot.
I don't want to break
Phoenix
any
Mercury
mascot news,
LinkedIn.
but like the mascot's a family business. So if the mascot's gone, like I don't know what that means for the Mercury. And again, I can't unveil too much because it's a masked being, but it's family business.
Yeah. No exit interviews for players. Get Fit Elementary. Just with.
I thought you were gonna say no exit interviews for Scorch.
That's not what I'm on. What I will say though, Scorch was very risky this season. The bit with him in the background for Asia at All-Star.
I think it did the team good though.
I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but I'm saying it was definitely risky this season, and it feels like that's the type of reach you need to have if you're going to be a mascot, because, I mean, part of being a mascot is finding ways to get attention. So I don't know what the merits are they're grading mascots off of, but yeah,
Scorch.
it definitely was better than last season for sure.
For the record, I liked Scorch's performance. Every time I went to the game, and Scorch is up there doing the flag waving with the fire, and then
shooting a gun and throwing balls into the crowd and shirts and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm uninformed on grading mascots, so I'm not gonna act like I should know what I'm talking about. But I feel like Scorch was at least a B. Just a solid B.
Well, and I saw this video actually today of Scorch cleaning up a sweat stain around none other than Natasha Cloud with his like mohawk thing. And I'm sorry, but you just know that Natasha Cloud was so irritated by that. And like that, and I feel like Scorch was standing on the sidelines and he was like, Yeah, I have the opportunity to do the funniest thing of all time, and he took it, and I love that. Well, they took it. I don't want to let me not misgender the mascot, but being a mascot is not an easy job.
And Kev mentioned it right above it. The impersonation of the Joe Bros was
electric.
It was
Even
hot.
you
and
appreciate
that might
it,
have
right?
been that after the Asia part because of the way that blew up on social. That's probably his bookmark moment of the season,
I
or
can get
that's
behind
their bookmark. Excuse me, moment of the season.
I still was wishing that, the Jonas Brothers were there. I won't lie. As a person that was once a 12-year-old girl, that would have been an absolutely electric moment for me. But nonetheless, shit happens and you die. We're in overtime, so I get to say that. So.
Will anybody in the chat be applying for that position? That's all I want to know.
You can't give that up.
Luke, I hear they're hiring a mascot for the Phoenix Mercury. You could get hired for 2 jobs today.
We know Deborah has the passion.
We do. For sure.
Yeah, big fact.
I feel like Kev, Mace at 14s, Kevin.
You know who would kill it? Our guy, Rob.
100%. But Rob also sits courtside, and we need his energy. He sits next to the visiting bench, which is one of the most important places in the whole arena. He is a very important person.
Rob can do both.
It would also be quite obvious, though, because everybody would notice that Rob's
He's
not
missing.
sitting courtside. Yeah.
Oh, he just went to the bathroom.
As he said, need to work on my backflips first. LOL.
Rob just went to the bathroom and then comes back Clark Kent style. That's what I'm saying. He can do both.
We could do like the K-State mascot. Have you seen the K-State mascot and how it's just the body? Terrifying. The absolute worst mascot in the entire Big 12. And, we could do that. And then it could be easier for Rob to be in and out of this costume.
I don't know if this is real, so take this with a grain of salt, but there was an image going around the internet during the offseason of the K-State mascot with an ankle monitor under the sock. Now, again, chat, I don't know if that was real.
That was alleged.
It's alleged. It's all alleged. Everything I'm saying right now is alleged.
This whole show's been alleged.
I don't know about that. The grades were pretty, set in stone. We are the official givers of the grades. However, this is all alleged. But there was a photo of the K-State mascot who is just a man in a hat.
It's
pretty
terrifying.
much. Yeah, it is terrifying, especially with the ankle monitor.
It's absolutely terrifying. Kazian, I don't want to say it wrong. I'm so sorry. One thing Nate said in his extra interviews was that they were going to look for some defensive players who would be some to target. Look, I'm going to say this. This is not the last time you're going to see us on your screen in the offseason. So those conversations are to come. Like Deborah said in the comments, though, please hit the like because this is the last one of the 2025 regular season official PHNX Mercury pod. So be sure to leave a like for that. Anything else, Steven?
Just that we appreciate y'all. Again, we've said it on every episode to open and close. But you can't say it enough, honestly. We genuinely appreciate all of y'all, whether you made it to the live show, whether you listening back after we end the show. Just, keeping tabs on what we're talking about. All of your efforts are appreciated. For everybody that went and told a friend or told a friend of a friend of a friend or took a business card of ours and spread the news or shared our links with anybody, all of those efforts are genuinely appreciated. And we look forward to giving more of the coverage that this team and that franchise deserves because they've been great and that's what they deserve in return. So we're glad that we can be an extension to kind of bridge the gap for you all and give you all entertainment while also informing and engaging with y'all. And we look forward to doing it more going forward. I think there's a lot more fun to be had with this team.
I'm going to say this, Kev. Free agent talk is coming when the CBA is signed because we can have a whole lot of empty conversations not knowing what contracts are going to look like or what anything for that matter is going to look like. So, and honestly, a huge piece in this is the expansion drafts and the fact that there are no rules.
No one knows anything because the elephant in the room is the CBA or lack thereof.
So once that is at least...
Tell you what, we find out we got a new commissioner coming through the W. That'll be a breaking news podcast. I can tell you that. So
be on the lookout for a lot of news about Kathy?
Yes, you could save it for then.
Yeah.
Save it for then for
just
sure.
Got to make it a little while longer then.
When you do have the Kathy part of the new CBA breaking pod, just got to remember that Kathy has a family, so remember that.
So do players. So do players when they don't have the best performance. They don't bring them up. What we talking about right now?
I have a family. Steven has a family, and we're both sitting here, eyes to the camera, telling the truth. Heavy on the truth. The truth. Anyways, glad we got that established. Anyways, like Steven said, thank you all for joining us on this incredible season from the Phoenix Mercury, incredible season from the PHNX Mercury podcast. Not to toot on horn, but toot, because everybody slayed it, and it was a fun season.
Shout out Luke, gave us an A+ for our performance this season.
Luke, I'll see you at McHale. Maybe Saturday, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. Kevin told me he didn't want me to go.
So not true. You literally.
He said he didn't want me to be on the show.
You literally tried to use my love of preseason basketball against me on this podcast. So the idea that I would tell you to not go to a preseason basketball game is asinine and ridiculous.
It's just crazy because I was like, oh, do you want me to go to the show or go to the game? And they were like, no. And I was like, all right, I guess I will just not speak ever again. Never mind. My apologies, my sincerest apologies for simply being born and existing. But also, guys, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Hornitos Bar, if you were there. If you weren't there, thank you. If you are in the chat now, thank you. If you aren't in the chat now, thank you. If you've watched with us any time along the way, thank you. We couldn't have been here, couldn't have done it without you. It would have been pretty boring if like I just freaked out and then Steven responded to me and like got me calmed down and like no one was really watching. Like that would have been kind of boring. So at least we could do that in front of people.
We appreciate the people that we know started tapping in with us after we got to partner with the Mercury as well. Over at one of our partners, Gila Rivers Resorts and Casinos, got to speak with, or got to interview technically, I guess, Kid Loxa and Lexi Held. So shout out to those two. Shout out to anybody that's listening audio-wise or watching on YouTube that we met from that. Yeah, we look forward to giving y'all more of this in more ways going forward. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for it.
I don't know who I missed that's having a baby. Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Wow, newest member of the X Factor, gonna be born just in time. Wow, congratulations. That's incredible. I'm so sorry I missed that. I'm literally out. Congratulations to Kev, Mesa 14. They're in every show.
2045 Mercury prospect.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I heard.
U of A first, though.
Potentially.
Kalaki.
Or Michigan State, but there are only two options.
Hey,
Memphis.
We love the Sparties.
I do not want any woman that wants to go to the WNBA. I do not want her to go to the University of Memphis to play basketball.
Then Kev's kid has two choices.
When I was a kid and I would go watch them play, I legitimately was like, this. I had no idea that when they said Memphis Tigers, like that was the same ones that I saw go to the national championship as a child. I genuinely did not know that they were associated with one another. They don't play in the same place. They play in a really old field house. That's gross. So anyways, there's my TED talk regarding Memphis women's basketball because it's not very good. Anyways.
I'm glad y'all got to acknowledge and realize how spoiled y'all are, X Factor. Tried to warn y'all before the season started. Yeah, I think y'all realized it as it progressed, but yeah, very much spoiled, and I imagine you're going to continue to be spoiled going forward.
Get Fit Elementary, to clarify, I was raised in Millington, but I do consider myself a Memphis native. My dad worked for the Grizzlies and, go Grizz go and all that. So that's why they can't recruit me to be a Suns fan. Only now that Dylan Brooks is here am I willing to pull for the Suns. It's very complicated. So, but I guess it's actually pretty simple, black and white, if you will. But also I need to give a quick shout out to my guy Steven here, PHNX Suns. You can catch him all season long. Just because we're not doing a pod every single day doesn't mean he's not doing a pod every single day. He most certainly is. And from what I'm hearing on said pod, sounds like the Suns have some to be optimistic about.
The vibes will be so much better than it was last season for the Suns. And I think that naturally translates to at least a few more wins than last season, if not a significant amount more. So the work is gonna be due for that soon. But yeah, check us out over there. We have some fun. We get into some live watch-alongs and doing some in-person activities and things like that with fans too. So yeah, if you like Phoenix basketball in general, or if you're actually a Suns fan too, definitely tap in with us over there.
If you guys get Dylan Brooks on the show, can I just pop in for like 2 minutes?
Depends on what you're going to say. And I say that because I have to say the same thing with Eric about if Ryan Dunn ever comes on our show.
Want him to do
I got to make sure we on the same.
Like, if you can do that, like, I don't even have to come on the show if you can get him to do that little thing. I love it.
Gotcha.
And I will clip it. I'll be in Ayrton's DMs like, clip that now. I need the video. And then get him to do it in an AT jersey. Oh, God. Lee.
I mean, they were at a lot of the games, so I imagine he wouldn't have no problem putting the jersey on for sure.
I love that guy. Honestly, the only person that was there just a little less than Steven and I in terms of Mercury games this year is Dylan Brooks and
Ryan Dunn,
and then one more.
Iguodaro.
Booker?
It's on the tip of my tongue. No, he was only at like 2 games, I think.
Also was at a lot of the games with Ryan right next to him, but
the guy with
Mark Williams was at a handful of games. Colin Gillespie was at a few games.
You're not
Grayson
talking
Allen
about
made it to
Harden,
a couple.
No.
I'm just making sure.
I know that guy.
We're pretty far down the list, so I'm just making sure.
I don't know. Anyways, maybe I'm just blanking. Nick Richards, did we say that?
Nick was at a handful of games too, yep.
Him and Dylan they never saw it together. I don't know, no tea or shade, but they were always there.
That's because the Mercury got all these season ticket holders sitting courtside, so you can't just move people around.
Unless you're Floyd Mayweather, I guess, huh?
But yeah, well, Big Bank, you know how that go.
Big book, am I right?
Money ain't the problem. You get what you want on the courtside seats, so.
Well, to be honest, I'm going to go watch the Aces parade tomorrow so that I can see Ludacris perform #1 spot. And outside of that, and it's going to be a great day, even though the Mercury even though I didn't get my parade in August or October, whatever month this is now, there's still hope for next season. And I'm going to continue to be hopeful for the rest of my days. I've been Erica Lee Day. It's been a great season. That's been Stephen Pridgeon Garner. You can follow us over on Twitter at Erica Lee Day, at StephenPG3. Our super dope producer at Kevo Post does incredible work on the PHNX Wildcats podcast, also known as the AZ Wildcats pod. Dude is slaying the house down boots, eating the streets up, as some may say, and some is just
I don't like that one.
Eating the streets up.
I don't like that one.
I can't actually say what it would be, because then I feel like your girlfriend would be mad.
I ate the house down boots. Let's just I ate the house down.
He does a really slay job.
I was gonna say he just does a very, very, very good job with everything. Him and Damon, basketball and football specifically.
Except I guess going thrifting for Erica's Mercury shirts. But word on the street, rumor is you can catch me doing some college basketball stuff over on the AZ Wildcats podcast as well. So keep your eyes peeled, because I might be back. We will see you guys in the next one, whenever that may be. And until then, thank you.
We all silly like the mayor.